Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dominic Sicali, Mafia Roundtable. First off, I'd like to thank our sponsor, EG Vodka, 100% organic, gluten-free, premium vodka at an average price. Go to egvodka.com. You could order your vodka. It'll be drop shipped to you. We just signed a national agreement with the distributor, RNDC. So we will be in all 50 states soon. So go to egvodka.com, buy your vodka, great tasting vodka, premium vodka, average price. Today's story is going to be, I'm going to go back in time to 1990, the end of 1990, when the DEA set me up in a bullshit drug case. I was released from prison in, I would think it was around October of June, July, August, September, maybe September, October of 1990. And I was on a 3-month supervised release, which they just wanted to collect my $90 a month or $30 a month, whatever it was, for the state of Florida, and then I'd be free. During this time, I was corresponding while I was in prison with a young lady who I happened to wind up marrying within the 4-month span that I was home. And while I was out, I was trying to work, get my life in order. I had a few dollars to my name, nothing much, try and get back on my feet once again. And what I did was I picked up a half ounce of cocaine. And when I got the cocaine, I paid $600 for the cocaine. And I tried it to taste it, see how it was, and I got beat. It was basically a rip-off. The cocaine was garbage, nothing but garbage. So now, basically, I was on the balls of my ass. I had no money, couldn't make any money at that time, just came home, and I was stuck with a bag of garbage, which was only about 60% pure. So what I did was, a guy at the gym I was working out with, he had his cousin who was in the street. His name was Robert Sini. He went by Robert Sini, Robert McGanty, Robert Redford. Wild kid. They used to do a lot of robberies, and I'll go into those stories at a later time. But I gave him the coke. I said, Rob, could you get rid of this? All I want is $600. He said, oh, absolutely, I'll get rid of it. Gave him the coke. And now it's around Christmas time, and I get a page. Robert, I called him up at that time. I was using the cell phone. I actually had the big cell phone, the big Motorola's back in the day. So I call him up. He says, Dom, could you come meet me by a gas station? It was in Hollywood, Florida. I says, I'll meet you there. He says, I'll have your money for you. I said, really? He says, yeah, I'll have your money. I said, you're the man, Rob. Thank you. I was happy. And it was my mother-in-law. At this time, it was my future mother-in-law, but became my mother-in-law. It was her birthday party. And my wife and I said, Kathy, we have to leave. And we left. I said, let's go meet Robert. He's going to have the money for me. Unbeknownst to me, I thought I was going to meet Robert. He was going to hand me the money. I pull up to the gas station. I get out. Talking to Robert, he says, listen, the guy's over there. Just come in the car, sit down, and I'll get you the money. Okay. I go into the car. It was a Lincoln Town car. The driver's supposedly is the buyer, a black guy. And I guess my code, Robert Redford, Sini, McGanty, whatever you want to call him, I'll just call him Robert. His contact was a black guy that he knew. I guess he would sell him hot items from houses, burglaries, whatever they did. So with that, we were both in the back seat, say hello. I'm not saying nothing, I'm just listening. And all the time, the guy in the front, in the driver's seat, my co-defendant gave him the cocaine. Whatever he did, said, oh, this is good stuff, or I heard it was good stuff. That's all he said. And in turn, he turns around, hands my co-defendant $600. In the interim, my co-defendant slipped me the 600, so I just put it under my leg like nothing happened. And they're going back and forth. And my co-defendant's talking with him, and the guy's asking, "Hey, this is really good. If I meet you next week, I want to get 2 or 3. Can I get 2 or 3? I'll bring you the money." Co-defendant responds, "Yeah, sure, whatever you want." I don't say anything. I'm just sitting there. And supposedly, what Robert did, he told the guys I was the supplier. Meanwhile, supplier, the coke was garbage. So with that, they were going back and forth, and that was basically it. I leave the car with Robert, said goodbye, and when we got outside, I walked to the car. Now the whole time, nobody ever saw Robert pass me the money. I didn't say anything, but they left off. "If I call you next week, can I get 2 or 3? I'll bring you the money." Meanwhile, the guy in the driver's seat happened to be a DEA agent. He didn't mention kilos, and I'll go into that later on in the story. But I'm with Robert. I tell Robert, stay away from these guys. They're cops. They're cops. My antennas went up. Just being in the game so long, knowing the streets, especially in New York and Harlem. I said, "They're cops." "No, no, Dom, good people." "Okay. I'm telling you, they're cops. You're going to get jammed up." With that, I threw Robert $100, took my 500, and I left. As I'm in the car, my wife is driving. Now I'm counting the money. I'm looking at the money. Every bill, now I had 5 $100 bills left. Every bill had some type of marking, ink marking on it, some type of writing. I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So I told her there was a big Seminole bingo place that the Indian reservation owns. I said, stop over there." I ran in, I cashed out all the $100 bills in the Seminole Indian place just to get those bills off of me. So with that, now this was around December. In February, we got married. This whole time now, from December to February 2nd, I was married. Nothing, no communications with Robert. I asked his cousin Peter, I says, "Hey, how's your cousin doing? Did he stay away from those guys?" He's like, No, he's dealing with them, he's working with them. And I said, "Pete, the guy's a cop. I'm telling you, he's going to get jammed up. Tell him just to be careful." "Well, Dom, they're dealing with them. They've been doing drug transactions with coke." Okay, come to find out, Robert got his brother involved and another guy involved, who was supposedly their supplier. They were doing transactions. And it was funny because where I lived, I was living in Hallandale Beach, Florida. It was called 3 Islands. And it was off the intercoastal. I was actually, we had a penthouse apartment. And I was right across the street from the Diplomat Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. On the intercoastal, I would go down at night with my wife, play tennis. They had the tennis courts right on the intercoastal, so it was nice. I started working for her father. He had a metal finishing company. And, finally now my life is on the right track, which was nice. Her parents, she was adopted, only child. My wife at that time, she was bad. She started drinking real bad prior to me. And when I met her during our engagement, there was a blow up where we were out one night. Some guy came over, put his hand on me. All hell broke loose in the place. Cops came, and once the cops come, I conduct myself. I'm like, I don't want any problem. I just want to go home. I throw my hands up. And always it seems like other people, they always start yelling, and the cops focus to them. And I was told, "Go ahead, just leave." But at that point, I had called off the engagement, and I told the mother and father, I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to marry you. I can't go through that. I can't, all the ups and downs, the drinking, it's not for me." She promised she would never drink again, and she didn't. So she straightened up. So I'm like, wow, okay, now we have a good relationship. So the parents loved me. This is the first time their daughter's straight. And, for about, say, 2 months before we got married, she wasn't drinking at all, which they were shocked. So basically, and the father said, Dom, just work with me. This company will be yours and my daughter's one day, and just keep it tight. And they were good. They were treating me like I was their son, which I needed. I needed that desperately in my life to stay out of the street life. So, wound up getting married. But before that, I'm noticing like just people around, especially our building. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm seeing them too often. They're not going in any place. Like they're staking somebody out. I don't take any. I know they're staking somebody out, but I don't think they're staking me out. Just for the fact I'm not doing anything illegal. And that deal with Robert, they didn't know it was my cocaine because Robert handed the cocaine. I didn't touch the cocaine. I didn't get the money from the guy. I didn't say anything. I was just there like a bobblehead, just shaking my head. Um, so what happens is we get married. We got married on a big yacht. There was like 100 people came to the wedding, and I'm with one of my father's friends, and we're looking into the parking lot where the valet, is ushering people to the boat. They're taking the cars, going deeper into the parking lot, and I notice surveillance. So I turn around to him. I'm like, actually, Maurice. His name was Maurice. Like Maurice, what the hell's going on here? Because Dom, I don't know. Maybe they're just looking to see who comes to your wedding. Um, who knows? Who knows what's that it's about? Are you doing anything? I said, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm working for her father. And actually, Maurice helped because he spoke to her father prior, talking about me. You know, I was a good kid, and I just needed guidance. So we get married on the ship, comes back, and the parents, they told Kathy and I, hey, what we'll do is we're going to take a month off in, I think it was March. We'll take the whole month off from work, and that's your gift. We'll come with us. We'll go out to California. That'll be your honeymoon gift. So I'm like, okay, cool. Because I really didn't have the money. But it was nice. I was really comfortable with them. First time in my life at that age where it was a nice feeling to be surrounded by a solid family. And I didn't mind working either. So it was 2 weeks after my wedding. All of a sudden, I'm at the metal finishing company, and all hell breaks loose. DEA comes rushing in, guns drawn, put my hands up. You're under arrest. They arrest me, Kathy, and myself, my wife. Father's has no clue. I really had no clue at that time why I'm being arrested. They bring me in. And they tell me my wife's going to get 20 years. I'm going to get 25, 30 years. And they go through their whole things. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything wrong. They turned around. They said, yes, you did. You're a drug dealer, this and that. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. With that, well, we're going to lock you up. I said, well, I'll be out because I didn't do anything wrong. No, you're not getting out on bail this time. Because remember, I just came off the murder case. I'm not getting bail this time. They arrest me. I go in. They ask me too, just work with us and we won't even arrest you. Work with us. We want you to infiltrate New York, all your connections up there, the Mafia. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Number one, if I did, I'm not a rat. I would never do something like that. So do what you have to do and I'll do what I have to do. So they arrest me, they book me, they wind up dropping Kathleen's charges. Now I'm fighting the case. And who do they arrest? Robert and his whole group of guys. And he's in there, I'm like, Robert, this is, fucked up. So he says, yeah, Dom, you were right, they were cops, this and that. Long and short of it all, Robert winds up cooperating. So they separate us on the compound in MCC Miami. And I'm like, damn, this is fucked up. So now when a person cooperates, the government takes their 302s, their statements. So I'm going to trial. My attorney says, we'll go to trial. We go to trial. Now, mind you, government didn't give us any information other than what the police had. They had a tape of that evening, the recording, that was basically unintelligible. You can't even hear anything. You hear the cop say, hey, if I call you, can I get 2 or 3? And you hear somebody say, like a faint voice, we could work it out. That was it. They were saying, I said that. So now we go to trial. That was all the evidence they gave us. There's no 302s. And I'm telling the lawyer, well, and at this time I really didn't know the law. I'm like, is my co-defendant going to testify against me? So I know he cooperated, but what could he say? I gave him the coke. But there was never any intent to distribute anything outside after that from my side. So he says, I don't know. Okay, we go to trial. Open arguments. They call first witness to the stand, Agent Raymond Colazzo. It's the DEA agent. Takes the witness stand. He says that he was given a half ounce of cocaine by Robert. He gave Robert the money. Robert put the money in his pocket. I was sitting there. I was supposedly the supplier. And he said, I responded, we could work it out after he asked for 2 or 3. So when my lawyer cross-examined him, he said, you passed a half ounce of cocaine. What was the quality of that cocaine? He came back and said, I think it was like 63% pure. Okay, so you have garbage cocaine, the lawyer said. You asked for 2 or 3. What did you mean by 2 or 3? He said, I meant kilos. Did you ever speak kilos to my client? No. Did you ever discuss price to my client? No. So let's get this straight. You're given a half ounce of cocaine, and in turn, you paid $600 for that half ounce. So you know an ounce is going to cost you $1,200. Correct. 2 ounces is going to cost you $2,400. Correct. So after you sold his half ounce of cocaine, you paid Robert $600. You made the statement, can I get 2 or 3 next week? Yes. Don't you mean ounces? No, I meant kilos. Did you ever speak kilos? No. Why? Well, I assumed he knew what I was talking about. But you were going to bring the money. Did they ever give you a price for kilos? No. With that, lawyer's done questioning him. That was the case. They called no other witness. 0. Jury comes back, acquits me of the possession charge, which was the half ounce, finds me guilty of 2 to 3 kilos of cocaine. I am mortified, shocked. I'm like, that was it. My entire trial, from open arguments, testimony, to closing arguments, was 2 hours. 2 hours. No evidence. Worst case scenario, I should have been found guilty of the possession charge. So I was there. Judge sentences me, I get 10 years. As I'm in jail, you go through cases, you're looking. All of a sudden, now I'm questioning because now I'm starting to learn about the law. Going to the law library. Actually, even when I was in Lewisburg, Matty Madonna, who you heard me before that I can't stand him. Very, very sharp. He could definitely be a legal professor. That's how smart he is. Book smart. Hands down, he's one of the best. He's going through my case. He says, Dom, what happened to your co-defendant? I say, he ratted on me. So he says, but where's his 302s? What's a 302? So he explains it to me. So years later, I wind up winning a Rule, I think 55, of going back to court. I might get a new case. Of course, I filed for ineffective assistance of counsel with my attorney. And I go in. Now I see my co-defendant, I get the 302. And I'm reading his 302, and it said it was my cocaine. Just like I said, he said he gave me the money, but Dominic didn't want to deal with them. As soon as we got out of the vehicle, Dominic said, "Don't deal with him, he's a cop." The government never gave me my 302s. That's why they didn't call Robert Redford, McGanty, Sini, whatever his name is, as a witness. Because he would have vindicated me for the conspiracy, but put me in for the possession, which might have carried 3 to 6 months. That's how dirty DEA and the government was in the state of Florida back in the early 90s, where they had the evidence knowing I had no part of it, but they felt I just got away with a murder, and let's screw it to them. But that was the DEA setting me up. And not saying all prosecutors are like that, because I could tell you firsthand from Greg Andres, Taryn Merkel, Nicole Argentieri, John Beretta, all above and beyond, ethically, just it's a job. And their feelings are, if we don't have you now, eventually you'll mess up. You'll do something once you're in the streets. And that's the way it should be. But you sometimes back in the day, you got these zealous prosecutors, basically destroyed my life. Who knows where I would have been? And who knows? More than likely, I would have been back with my wife, her family, doing the right thing on the streets, and would have created a normal life back then. But being they played dirty and I got my 10 years, they're basically responsible for the homicides later on, which led down to my life being so chaotic and part of the mob. So I would have never met 95% of the people that I met when I was incarcerated. But I don't hold it against any prosecutor. Everybody's different. You have good and bad in all levels of law enforcement, military, streets, and that's just part of life. But that was how I got set up by DEA and the government back then. And if you like this story, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We have many more to come. We're working on setting up a Patreon, so we will have other material that hasn't even been out there, like the hit on Quiet Dom's son. Is he dead or is he alive? That stay tuned, because that is a good one. With that said, everybody have a wonderful evening, morning, and afternoon. Much love. Peace out.